everybody, we're so excited to be back for week 2 of the We See Photography Challenge. And this week, I'm so excited to announce our guest photographer, Rebecca Aon. Welcome! We're so excited you're here.
Hello! This is so interesting. And I'm so grateful that you guys are having me here. So I am just grateful and thankful.
So if you want to tell us a little bit about when did you start doing photography?
It was very random and it was a very slow progression. I think I was in 4th grade when I bought a camcorder and I would record my brother and his bands. I would go to all his shows, record them, and I was like, this is interesting and I like it, but I don't like recording things. And then I think my sister had a little point and shoot camera. Back in the day, what girls would take selfies with, before phones were a thing. And I started taking that out, going all over. I would just take pictures of anything and everything, and it brought me so much joy. I felt so happy to be doing that. So I was like, this is it. This is something I want to grow and do and maybe make a profession for myself. So here I am.
That's so great. And I feel like that is kind of where I land too.
Yeah.
And I got a point and shoot one year, and like me and friends would like just take pictures, and I was like, this is kind of fun. And like, who knew this was where it was gonna lead, right? Like
that's what I said. I was like, thought that made recording people with a camcorder and taking stupid photos with a point and shoot camera would actually grow an interest. But I mean, I even remember you used to post videos all the time, even when we were young.
Yeah.
So it's cool to see you guys doing this still. So,
yeah.
And making something of it, which is exciting.
So did you go right into photography? Or were you okay?
No, I had stopped for a while. I went to beauty school in the interim and I realized this is terrible. I did it, I finished it. And then I was like, not my thing. It's artistic and all, but it was definitely not my outlet. So I was like, it's time to pick that camera up again. So like 4 years ago, I started taking pictures again, and then it slowly started building, and I started teaching myself all the things I didn't know, that I was just going off of like what my heart told me to do. But now I actually know what I'm doing, like the technicality of it all. So good, it's all good.
So now that you've, played around with photography since the 4th grade, what do you think your favorite kind of photography is?
That is exactly what we're here for today, which is portrait photography. I love it. I love interacting with the people who I'm taking the pictures of. And more than anything, I love to be able to, it's so hard to explain. Like, the person who's getting their photo taken, I love to take that moment so that they can realize like how wonderful and special they are as people in that moment and forever with the photos that I'm taking of them. So it's very rewarding for me, but it's also very aesthetically pleasing to look at a face in a frame. So yeah, so that's that.
And I'm very excited that your favorite form of photography is our challenge this week. So your challenge, should you choose to accept it, is to capture a portrait. If you wanted to take a portrait of someone, what are your tips for us?
Tip number 1 would be the eyes. I think the focus is always got to be on the eyes in a standard classic portrait photo. Because when a viewer is looking at the photo, the first thing you go to is the eyes. And if the eyes are not in focus, then the viewer is like, not the best photo, even if it's a beautiful human and whatever. But I think, this is my personal opinion, when the eyes are in focus, it makes the photo really pop, because eyes are just so wonderful. I love eyes. So, but even if I didn't, I would say that's the most important thing to focus on in a portrait shot. So yes, and I realize most people when they're shooting, actually, I think everybody, they shoot in autofocus because while you're trying to be quick about things, you don't have time to be like, and then half of us have bad eyesight. So you rely on your autofocus. And a lot of lenses aren't, of course, the more expensive you get, the greater the quality. But a lot of lenses have a hard time focusing in on the eyes, and they're like they focus these other. So that I think can help someone to get their camera to focus on the eyes is being level with your model. And now, like me, I'm very, very short, so I'm always underneath my model. But you can either make them bend a little or you can get up higher a little, but being level with them helps the lens to focus where you want it to focus. Being up a little too high, being down a little too low gets the camera like, okay, well, I don't know what you really want us to take a photo of, so we'll just focus on whatever. But that's my first tip. And I think that closes it out. Do you want number 2?
Give it to us, yes.
This is another thing I found through just, taking pictures and feeling like lighting is hard. Lighting is tough. Lighting sucks outdoors sometimes, and indoors could suck too if you don't have all the light you need to make a good photo. But my biggest thing that I have seen to get the best kind of portrait with lighting is to always have your model looking towards wherever the light is. Don't blind them, but like if you have a light here and your model is here, she or he should be looking towards that light instead of looking away, because now, what am I doing? I don't know. But if that makes sense, because now if your model's looking away from the light, you lose the face altogether because now they're being backlit. Again, now, certain forms of photography, certain forms of art, you want backlighting. That depends. But a classic portrait shot, you want your model with the light on their face. Like the light right now, yes, there's light behind us.
I think we're guilty.
But there's also light on our face, and that really helps make the photo pop. Because if your model's face isn't lit up, then people, even your model, will look at the picture and say, yeah, that's nice, but where's the light?
Yeah.
Bring us the light, and then we'll talk. But yeah, so I really think that's important.
Well, I've been binge watching America's Next Top Model, and Mr. J is always like, find your light, because the girls look everywhere where their light isn't, and you're like sitting in the one dark spot. Yeah.
And it really is important, especially indoor. Like outdoor is easier, I think, because the atmosphere is lit up, so you don't have to be like, oh, look at the sun. But indoor lighting, really, you want the model looking towards the light. It brings a whole new, I don't know, just really makes it vibrant.
It. Yes.
Yeah. So that's that tip. Do you want tip 3?
Tip number 3. I'm ready.
All right. Tip number 3, and this is not a great one for phones, but I mean, there's some attachments for phones too that this could apply to. I'm not sure, but this was something that's important for portrait shots, because maybe people who use their phone will eventually want a real camera because they like it. So I'm thinking the length of your lens. That is, in my experience, important for a portrait shot. I find that 35 millimeter, 50 millimeter, and 85 millimeter lenses are perfect for a good portrait. They focus in exactly on what you're looking for, and the edges aren't as stretched out, because normally if you look close, edges of photos kind of have a little distortion. So because you're so close when you're doing a portrait shot, you want less distortion. So you don't want to be using a really wide lens or a long focal length where you can be standing more for landscape kind of situation. So, I mean, in the beginning, I was using a lens, and I forget the exact measurement of it, but it was a wide angle lens, and I was doing portrait pictures with them, and they looked all like stretched out and weird. I was like, why is this happening? And then I realized, like, the lens is important that you use when you take a photo. So, I mean, also another thought is you can be doing a single subject and use a wide angle lens, but they can't be super close. You have to be further away. So that's tip 3.
No, but that's good because so we, probably like you, we started with like our kit lens. You know, I don't even remember what that is.
Yeah.
I don't even have it downstairs. But like that kit lens, and you're just like taking pictures with it, and then I think then that's when you get like hungry for like other lenses. So when you see other people like taking these things, so I think my first like lens purchase that was not like part of my like package was a Nifty 50. Because I was like, this is
50 is great. That's like
what I'm saying.
That was the first, after I had bought a kit, that was the first lens I got, was a 50 millimeter. And I still to this day, and that was back in the day. And still to this day, I use it. I have bought a nicer lens since, but I still use it sometimes. At the end of the day, with photography, because it is an art form, at the end of it all, you can do whatever you want. And if it makes you feel good, then you do it. That's my ultimate tip. But you know, if people are interested in being a little bit.
Yeah. That is good to mention because that's the thing is like once you do get the DSLR and you start playing around with that, like you're like, okay, like what's next? And like having that somebody be like, okay, this is something that could be next if you're interested in portrait photography. Like if you're gonna do landscape, like 50 is probably not gonna be the lens for you. But if you're looking at doing more person photography, that is really, really good advice, I think anyway. Okay, so if people wanted to see more of your work or get in contact with you because they wanted to book you once this quarantine is over, how would they do that?
Well, there's a number of ways. We'll start with Facebook. Facebook, it's just Rebecca Aon Photography. You just type that into the search bar. It should pop up and you can message me there. I'm not the best at answering Facebook though. That's what I'll say. That's the last place I look. Then we have email. That's the golden way to contact me, which is also Rebecca Aon photo@gmail.com. That's the fastest way to get a response. And then, as we all know, Instagram. That's not the fastest way to get a response, but you will eventually if you contact me that way. And that is Rebecca Aon Photo. That's my handle, Rebecca Aon Photo. So really, I try and keep it simple. Just use the name. Don't make anything complicated. And I have a website, and that is RebeccaAonPhotography.com. If you want to really just see a whole bunch of photos without going on social media, that's a way to just look and browse and see if you're interested. Yeah.
And and if you are feeling that you need inspiration for your portraits, she has a whole slew of them you can look at on her website.
And I would love and always open to people coming and talking with me if they wanted advice or whatever. And we all learn from each other. As much as I can help one person, they'll also help me learn something. So I'm very open to that. I think it's fun. I think it's a great idea. And I love what you guys are doing.
If you guys take your portrait this week, you can put it in the Facebook event page. So you can go ahead and upload it. Or if you post it on Instagram or Facebook, we just ask that you use the hashtag WeSeePhoto photography challenge, and we're so excited to see all of your photos. And we just want to say thank you so much, Rebecca, for coming on and giving us her tips.
I appreciate it. Thank you guys so much.
We'll see you next week when we announce next week's challenge, but we can't wait to see your photos in the meantime.